Now I'm going to show you a few little things I think you should look at, and that is something that we call abnormal. So we want to kindly see, and that'd be foundered horse. And it's real simple to pick this out because in reality, I think the horse owner was sold a bowl of beans a long time about x-rays when in reality, and I'll show you when you cut into a foot if you can tell if there's something kind of trauma that's happened here. But you can look at this coffin bone. So let me roll this one back around where you can see it good. You're looking at this bone, except it's split. Okay, we call it the coffin bone or P3, whatever. But anyway, we're going to call it the coffin bone. And you can see it's running parallel with the hoof horn, the outer horn is running parallel. Well, once something trauma happens in here, and many things can cause that, so to simplify it, I'm going to say what causes a coffin bone to tear loose or rotate is an abrupt change, let's say it again, abrupt change to the inner chemistry of the horse. That can be caused by whipping a horse foundering on grass, by overeating. So a horse, everything he eats can affect his feet. So there's many things, stress and so on, and change in feed. All kinds of things can cause a horse to founder. Now let's take a look at this coffin bone, and let me get my pen and get my big finger out of the way. You can see this coffin bone is tore loose, and you can tell the depth. It's not running parallel with the bony, with the outer hoof horn. This is just tissue that where it's torn and stretched, and here's your coffin bone way over here, almost coming through the sole. And we call that founder or laminitis. You know, the old term, most everybody knows what founder is, so we'll just use the word founder. But you can see the point of the coffin bone is almost through the sole. And there's different degrees of it. And the more it's rotated down or pulled loose, then we would say the more founder the horse is, or the more serious it is. Now, we have new things, and I'll show you just for a moment something. And this is where I've always said, and that's one reason we have a TV show today. I want to take time and show you what we do for foundered horses today. And this was, we could say, a luck thing or somebody experimenting, not afraid to experiment. And it's called the Nolan hoof plate. And so I'm going to show you a few horses here that couldn't walk or barely could walk. And once we put the Nolan plate, you can see they just walked off. So we're learning so much. And there's probably, I'd say, 80,000 people shoeing and trimming horses in the United States. And with all of our farrier associations, which they're all small, the one I belong to is the largest, the Brotherhood Working Farrier Association. With all the farrier associations combined and put together, with all their conventions and clinics throughout the whole year, we're probably reaching less than 5,000 or 6,000, and that would be stretching it. So the television can reach out, and a lot of the good things that we're experimenting with, the farriers can click on their TV and learn today, and I'm all for that. And I call that continuing education, and I think that was a major breakthrough, the TV. So we're learning a little bit more here. Now I'm going to show you something on a yearling's foot. Now this is just a baby. It's the same horse, okay? Identically the same horse. Now I'm going to take one foot and show you, and so keep that in mind. I'm going to lay this one down. But I want you to look, and this is what we found in the trimming process. Most of the farriers, they pick up a rasp and they start rasping the bottom of the foot. Now, I'm going to get into that when you do that and when you don't do it. But a lot of the things they're doing that they call trimming is really not trimming, in my opinion. But anyway, from the point that they miss, that we found, it causes this heel, one of the heels, to start rolling over, okay? And I'm going to show you when we get to the horse how to look for that. But when you look at here, this is your buttress, okay, the very tip, the end of it, and right here's your heel. Well, and you'll see that in your booklet. From about where my thumb is to this point right here, they don't take the flare off. Because if you look at your own shoes, one heel is going to be wore more than the other, one toe is going to be more wore than the other, and your shoe is going to flare one way or the other. And your conformation dictates that. Same as a horse. But in reality, what has happened here, that foot, if you keep it trimmed correct, and that's just like he was the day he was born, except it's going to get bigger. If you don't remove the flares and keep the horse balanced with those 6 steps, then you're going to have problems. This is the same horse. So examine this close. This is more symmetrical. The foot looks more natural. This side has been nipped. This side is not. Okay? Now let's look at this. Is the 1 year, and this is the same, the opposite foot. So keep that in mind. And this one that I laid down was more symmetrical. Now this is the same, the opposite foot, and this one is more straight here. Okay, and it's starting to roll over. Why? Well, when you look from the very buttress here to this point, you can see how much thicker it's got here. Much thicker. So the flare, there's one spot on a horse hard to remove, and we'll look at that when we start trimming the horse. From where my thumb is to the buttress, they miss that. That starts getting wider here, and then this heel will start rolling over. And so as the horse gets older, it gets worse. It never corrects itself. And I know you're going to ask the same old question that everybody else asks, probably. What about the horses out in the wild? Well, only the strong survive. That's one thing. Second, they don't have a saddle on them with a person riding them. That's another thing. And what about you and your ancestors? They were out in the wild. And when they crossed this country, we didn't have penicillin, we didn't have antibiotics, and many people died of things we can easily cure today. So we can save our horses today if we take care of them, if we feed them right and take care of the most important part, in my opinion, is the horse's feet. So we're going to end there, and then we're going to continue on our next DVD.